Matty Taylor at left back. My player of the series. He's a Portsmouth original. He has been here since day one. And he's been our starting left back since day one. What's going on, guys? My name is Adam. I am a Super Swan. And welcome to episode 58 of Project Pompey. The project has been completed. We won the Champions League in the last episode. So I think what we're going to do for the next couple of episodes is just reminisce on the series, have a look at those players that we've had over the years and see where they are now. We've had a very long journey, 7 seasons it's taken us to get from bottom of the table, promotion from the First Division to Champions League winners. So we're going to go through some of the best 11s over the course of the series, along with a few select players, and see where they are 7 years down the line. We open things up with the best 11 of the series, worked out by the Football Manager 2019 game, and we will look at each individual player and see how they got on. In goal, we have Petr Cech. He's been with us since the first season. 270 appearances, a 7.04 average rating, 28 years old, he's in his prime, and I think he's been very important for Portsmouth in goal. Don't get me wrong, he was one of those players throughout the years that definitely kicked up a fuss about leaving the club. He thought he was bigger than Portsmouth, which you could arguably say he was, but we did manage to hang on to him, and he has delivered us a Champions League trophy. He has had some really good years. If we look at his career stats, been with us since the first season, halfway through. He has had about 7.0 average rating throughout the whole of the series. I think he conceded how many goals? The least goals he conceded in a full season was 38 in the 22-23 season. And the last couple of seasons we did rotate with Tim Weiss and a few other goalies as well. But Petr Cech, you are the goalkeeper that's won the Champions League with Portsmouth. He won 2 Premier Leagues, an FA Cup, a Community Shield, and a UEFA Champions League. And we brought him in for, how much was it? 21.5 mil, which was a lot of money in our first season. We did want to get a solid goalkeeper, and he has delivered. So Petr Cech, you are the goalkeeper of the team of the series. Philippe Lahm at right back, 153 appearances, 7.45 average rating. This was a steal from Bayern Munich. We got him in for £8 million. He was on the transfer list at Bayern Munich, and for the last 5 seasons, well, 4.5 really, he has been our number 1 right back. Look at the assists he has, though. This is all just in the league. 10 assists in the league, 9, 8 and 10. He has had an average rating of 7.5 in his first seasons. Well, the full seasons he's had with us. He's had a 7, well, maybe not his first couple, but at least the last 3. He has had 7.50 average ratings for the season. Philippe Lahm provided the crosses to Messi in the Champions League final, but overall, 153 appearances and a 7.45 average rating. The centre-backs we have is Juan. He was someone we did get in early on as well. He was a new gen, a German international. The problem with him was we stupidly put him on a highest clause on the wages. So he was always on a very high amount, which when we got later on and we started getting very good players, he wasn't really as good or to be worth as much. But he was someone we brought in at a time where we needed that quality at centre-back. And he certainly did, along with popping up with the odd goal here and there. Again, I would say an average of a 7.0 average rating. He is now at Sampdoria, where he's 30 years old and he is now winding down his career. But for at the time, Juan was a very important centre-back for us. Martin Di Michelis, he was one again in a time where we wanted some world-class centre-backs. He came into us from Leverkusen for £20 million. I remember the contract negotiations. It was always, he's going to treat the club as a stepping stone. He has a release clause in his contract of £29 million. He could leave at any time, but he did decide to stay for those couple of seasons. He is wanted, though, by Roma, so he could be on his way out in the future. But Martin TheMadScientist won the World Cup whilst at Portsmouth for Argentina. And just like Petr Cech has won 2 Premier Leagues, an FA Cup, a Community Shield, and the Champions League. So we won all of our trophies with TheMadScientist in the team. 29 years old now, so he's got a good 5 years left in his career. Is he going to hit the heights once more? Matty Taylor at left back. My player of the series. He's a Portsmouth original. He has been here since day one. And he's been our starting left back since day one. In real life, arguably, he was a winger. And that shows in the game. He's a winger, inside forward, even a Rumdeuter. But I utilised him more as a left back because of our tactics with our full-backs bombing forward. And he had all the stats to play as a wing-back. And it just shows and how he's a 4-star player. He's an England international, 37 caps for England, 7 goals. I think they even used him as a winger as opposed to a left back. But Matty Taylor, the man who was with Portsmouth, even had a season in the First Division before we took over. But that says it all, look. And again, he's never had lower than a 7.0 average rating. Again, it's very similar to Lahm. The assists he racks up in a season, 8, 11, 8, 8, 4 and 7. He has been very important in our rise to win the Premier League and the Champions League. He's 28 years old. He's got another 5 years left in him. Will he stay at Portsmouth for his whole career? I certainly hope so. Yaya Toure, I think he was our first big name signing, along with Petr Cech, to come into the club. We got him in on a free transfer because he was a wonder kid developing from Bavaria in Belgium. And as soon as he came in, he hit the ground running. First season, 8 goals, 8 assists, 9 goals, 6 assists, 5 goals, 11 goals, 3 assists, and then 2 goals in the second to last season. I think we kind of outgrew him in this game. I don't think the game's really reflected of how much of a good player he is. But then, he is at Arsenal, and Arsenal themselves are a very good team. Bit of a rotation option for Arsenal at the moment. But 27 years old, Yaya Toure in his prime, and very important for us at the time we had him. Like Petr Cech, he was one that liked to kick up a fuss about leaving as he thought he was bigger than the club. But we just couldn't get the bids in for him because, you know, Portsmouth were a small club when we got these players in. And it's only through our real-life knowledge we would have brought in Yaya Toure in the first place and probably wouldn't have known about him if we didn't have him scouted. But Yaya Toure won a Premier League and an FA Cup at Portsmouth. He had what was his average rating? 7.16 average rating, 44 goals. I've realised I've missed out Kevin Nolan from the list. So we'll look at Kevin Nolan next. So captain fantastic, Kevin Nolan, England international, 9 caps, 27, he's in his prime. We plucked him from Bolton when they got relegated. I think we spent 10 million pound on him in the second season. So Kevin Nolan, he's been with us since. Another player, very consistent, 7.0 average rating. Always popped up with roughly about 7 to 8 goals, a couple of assists. He was more a box-to-box midfielder than anything. But look at those attributes. So many greens he has for us. And if he were carrying on the save, he would still be in my team probably 5 years down the line. 2 Premier Leagues, an FA Cup and a Champions League. Made his international debut whilst at Portsmouth. And he is someone who's going to be at the club, hopefully, for the foreseeable, as he is our captain. So Kevin Nolan, he's worth £31 million now. What a player he has been for Portsmouth. Captain, fantastic. He is joined in the midfield by Morten Gamst Pedersen, 129 appearances, 20 goals, a 6.95 average rating. We've only just sold him this season to Monaco. Got him in for 2.7 mil in our third season. And he was really... the good thing about Morten Gamst Pedersen was he could play pretty much anywhere from midfield to left wing to attacking midfield. Even could be a striker if we were desperate. But in real life, he was always good at free kicks for Blackburn. He was always had a long shot on him. So we did think to bring him in. I don't think he let us down. He was very much rotation. I'm not saying, I don't think he was ever a nailed-on starter whilst he was at Portsmouth, but his versatility made him such an important player. He was with us for 4 seasons. 29, I think his second season with us was his most appearances. Got 3 goals, 3 assists, I would say a 6.8 average for us. So he wasn't the best of players. Bit unsure why he's in team of the save, really, but Morten Gamst Pedersen, he came in when we needed him to. We made a very healthy profit on him. We sold him to Monaco, and arguably he's had a really good season at Monaco this year. He's won the Trophée des Champions, he's won the UEFA Cup, and the French Cup. Whilst at Monaco, he won more trophies in 1 year than he did in 4 at Portsmouth. But, he's done well. He's been a starter for Monaco. And again, look at his stats. He's a very solid player. And that just shows how much we've grown as a club. The fact that we can sell players like Morten Gamst Pedersen, where if we look at his scout report, he'd be our 3rd best midfielder. He'd be our 2nd best left winger. Our 3rd best attacking player. He's a solid player. But Portsmouth just grew from that very good club to a world-class club this season. So those are the 3 midfielders. So we've gone for our second formation because we started off with a defensive formation. Then we went with the 3 midfielders, 2 wingers and a striker. And then we went with the 1 attacking mid and 2 strikers. So we are going to have wingers. And it's Bozhinov that comes in on that right-hand side instead of Messi, which surprises me, seeing as Messi's got a 7.2 and Bozhinov's got a 7.1, but Bozhinov makes team of the season. Again, someone we only recently sold this year to Manchester City. We brought him in the second season that he was with us, and we only got him in for 6.75 mil. And he did do damage, to be fair. And again, he was never really first choice when he was here. He was either Yakubu or Van Persie, or later on it would have been Kezman and Suarez. But he was very solid to come off the bench, and I think he had that 1 year, which would have been, I think, maybe 3 or 4 seasons in, where he was just so prolific off the bench. He had a 7.3 average rating, 11 goals for Portsmouth in the league, and I think that was what kind of triggered Man City to be interested, because we sold him for £20 million, and yeah, he was a very solid player, and he's had a decent season at Man City. 9 goals, 4 assists, 3 player of the matches, and he's only 24 years old, so Bozhinov still has at least another 10 years in this save. So when we do go forward 10 years, Bozhinov could be the man that could be still in the save. So he is joined by Dimitrov on the left-hand side. He was a very solid player when he was with us, Dimitrov. He fit the purpose of being on that right-hand side, and I think that first year with us, he had a very good year. It was the second season we brought him in for 3.7 mil, scored 10 goals, 6 assists. Pretty sure he was our player of the year as well. But he was just unfortunately a victim of Messi coming into the club. So when Messi came in, he did drop to being a rotation player, but still got 28 games in the league and then got 21 games in the league. But as we got further and further into the save, he dropped down to a bench player, then dropped down to a reserve player, till we got rid of him on a free transfer after his contract ran down. But in the 3 years he's been away, he was on loan at Marseille, did decent for them, went to Deportivo in Spain, just under a 7.0 average rating, and then he went to Wolves on a free transfer in the Premier League, where not quite hit the heights he was with at Portsmouth, but Dimitrov is 31 now. Yeah, he's kind of on the tail end of his career now, but Dimitrov was, he's made the team of the year, so he wasn't a bad player whatsoever. And he is joined up front, I would say arguably, by the best striker we have had at Portsmouth, Luis Suarez. The drama of him coming in where we couldn't get a work permit for him. So for 6 months, Suarez just sat in our under-23s, couldn't play a game. But luckily enough, we did manage to get that work permit, and he scored 71 goals in 98 appearances, and he's only 23 years old. Suarez could play for Portsmouth for 10 years and win everything at this club. So when we do go 10 years in the future, I really do hope that they hang on to Luis Suarez, because he's going to be the man to bring the trophies to Portsmouth. I mean, this year alone, he scored 34 goals in 31 starts. He scored more goals than when he's been on the pitch. But let's have a look at career stats. So he's only been with us for 2.5 seasons. The first season, for 6 months, he sat on the bench, and he was a free transfer as well. We got him at the end of his contract with Nacional. And he scored 5 goals, 5 assists in that first 6 months, so he's still getting used to the side. But it's been the last 2 seasons where he's been a starter, where he's really shown us what type of player he is. 18 goals out of 26 starts in the league, 19 goals from 23 starts in the league. And that's us rotating him. He's not playing every single game. Him and Kezman and Higuain are all swapping in. So it's for him to score 19 goals from 23 appearances in the league is a massive, massive achievement. So Luis Suarez, if he can stay at the club, is going to be huge for Portsmouth. And I would say the best striker we have had at the club. So that is the starting 11, the best 11 of the save. We look at the bench, we've got Tim Stefanovic, who went to Sporting Club de Portugal. We sold him to Porto, and then he went on to Sporting. So he is carving himself the tail end of his career. He's 35, so he has only got maybe a couple of years left in him. But Stefanovic, he was a Portsmouth OG, and he was our best defender for quite a number of seasons. Tim Weiss, we know, went to Chelsea. Zivkovic went out to Saudi Arabia, and he is still there. He's probably been there now longer than he's been with Portsmouth. But we sold him on for 6.75. He is now carving a career out in Saudi Arabia again. Portsmouth OG, 34 years old. We all know about Lionel Messi, the marquee signing 3 seasons in. I wouldn't say he's hit the heights of real life, but I'm hoping now, if we go 10 years in the future, we will start to see the real Lionel Messi. I mean, look at those attributes. They're absolutely ridiculous. He's only 22. He's only got 5 caps for Argentina. He is at the start of his career. So when we do go 10 years on, it'll be very interesting to see how he gets on. Amdi Faye, another one that went out to Saudi Arabia. It seems that our Portsmouth OGs are taking the Saudi money. Only recently went for 4.5 mil the last 3 seasons. But Amdi Faye, another one that went out to Saudi Arabia. Harry de Groot makes the bench. A very interesting case with Harry de Groot, because this season, I would say, is his first real season with Portsmouth. We've had him for about 5 years. We signed him for £5 million from Wolfsburg. Had some appearances in his first year, but then for the next 3 seasons, we loaned him out to get experience. And at one point, I was really close to selling him. But he's come back this year and been a revelation in the midfield. He's realised his potential, and he has made it into the team of the save on the bench. So well done, Harry de Groot. And we end the team of the save with Yakubu, a very important striker for half of the save, really. And he was one that kept on wanting to leave. He was a Portsmouth OG. We all know what Yakubu could do. Now at Real Sociedad. But if we look at his early numbers, 12 goals in the league, 22 goals in the league, 13 goals. So for that, arguably the first half of the save, he was the man scoring goals for Portsmouth, a very important player. We didn't want to let him go, but Yakubu was the man at Portsmouth. Only recently he was on the decline as we started to get players like Kezman and Suarez and Van Persie come in. But Yakubu, 27 years old, still got about 5 years left on his career, still could make a name for himself. So that is the team of the same, my friends. So I think what we'll do now is we'll very quickly go through the rest of the teams. We've gone for about nearly 20 minutes already. So I'll try and go through these as quick as possible. So this is the first team we had. So this is the first 11 we started the save off. So you can see it's a vast contrast to the team we have now. But let's have a look at this team. So Shaka Hislop is a manager at Blackburn. He is a Premier League manager now, Shaka Hislop. He was only in goal really for the first 6 months of the save. But he's now a manager at Blackburn after being our under-18s assistant manager. But he has now gone on to be a top-class manager. Schemmel at right back is now a coach. Not a very good one, but a coach nonetheless. We've got Stefanovic, we know about, Zivkovic, Matty Taylor, been with us since day one. Alexis Smirton, we had him on loan from Chelsea. He's now at Osasuna, so he is still playing. And he did go to Birmingham on a free, then to Anderlecht out in Belgium. He's not been that good of a player really. But Smirton, playing that defensive midfield position, still hanging on to his career. Nigel Quashie, we only had him for 1 year, then he kicked up a fuss and left. He is now playing at Rotherham in the First Division, 31 years old now. He is a First Division player, I think it's safe to say, Nigel Quashie. Amdi Faye's out in Saudi Arabia. Patrick Berger is a scout at Stoke. A pretty average scout, but a scout nonetheless. He did go out to AJ there, Nottingham Forest, Partizan Belgrade, Zemun, before he come to Stoke as a scout. If I was carrying on, I might have brought him in for sentiment's sake. And then we had Yakubu and Todorov, who is out in America with Atalanta United. Pretty solid, 1 and 2, 110 appearances, 51 goals. So it looks like he's carved himself a career out in the MLS. Petr Cech in goal. We had him for that half a season. Michael Dawson we signed in. We swindled Blackburn for £27 million 3 seasons ago. And now he's only worth £6 million. He was good when we had him, but we upgraded him when we needed to. Bruno Cheroux. Oh, actually, no, Teddy Sheringham. So Teddy Sheringham, the first number 10 we had, is our under-18s assistant manager. He's been with us pretty much since he retired. He's gone from a coach to an assistant manager. I mean, he could be a manager. He's got the stats to become a manager. So it'll be interesting to see what Teddy Sheringham gets up to in 10 seasons' time. Bruno Cheroux, we got him in the first season for £2 million. I think it was loan at first from Liverpool. Still playing his trade out in France. He's got 2 caps for France. And he's probably gone for £2 million every single time. We held on to him for a few seasons, but he's never really hit the heights of when he was at Portsmouth. Not really that good of a player. Good for a mid-table Premier League team, but I don't think we could have won the league with Bruno Cheroux in the team. Livni Primus, he is now a head of youth development. I wouldn't hire him, but he's a head of youth development. Went to Sunderland for 4 years after he left Portsmouth, but he is now a head of youth development. We've got Tim Sherwood, who is a coach at Leicester under-18s. Very solid coach. Yeah, I'd probably take him on if I could. But Tim Sherwood, he was in our midfield for a few episodes at the start. And now he's 41 years old and a coach at Leicester. And now we've got Steve Stone, an under-18s coach at Sheffield United. Again, he's alright, I guess, as a coach. But he went to Middlesbrough, Preston, and then Sheffield United as a coach. So that is the first 11 we had while we were at Portsmouth. And we'll very quickly go through the other years and pick out some players that we remember. So we got Robin Van Persie, obviously still at the club. I'd probably sell him as we don't really need him anymore. Varela, a very solid right back. He's now at Charlton in the first division. We've got Del Horno. I think we sold him to Gillingham. But he's now at Villarreal in the Spanish Premier Division. I don't even remember Pasquale. Who's Pasquale? Oh, he's a left back, so we might have loaned him maybe. Yeah, we loaned him for 2 years. And yeah, because you can see from the appearances, he was a backup left back. But to be fair to him, a pretty solid left back with £14 million. Yeah, he's pretty solid. Who else have we got? So yeah, Varela's there in the starting. Messi's there as well. Stefanovic. So Harry de Groot. Mike Hank, who scored against us in the Champions League. Of course he did. Anybody else we're missing here? So Steidl. He was a good youth prospect. We sold him to Barcelona. He's on the transfer list for £11 million at Barcelona. We sold him for 43 million and he's on the transfer list. I'd be tempted to bring him back in. I'd be very tempted to bring him back to Portsmouth. We got Luka Modric, of course. We sold him to Juventus. How was his first season out in Italy? Yeah, he's done pretty well, hasn't he? He's done pretty well at Juventus in his first season. We sold him for 64 mil. 5 goals and 2 player of the matches. Modric, I thought you were going to be the man to be in the midfield when we won the Champions League, but he went out to Juventus. James Milner, we swindled United for like £50 million for him, and he's only played, 30 games for United in 3 seasons? 56 million they paid for him, mind. Absolutely unreal. We only paid 32. We made a healthy 20 mil profit on him, and he doesn't hardly play for United. I'd be unhappy if I was James Milner, to be fair. Kisnobo, he was with us for a very long time. Kisnobo was with us in our first season, I think, or the second season. We loaned him out, and he's been our backup ever since. He's been arguably a starter for Newcastle, but not played as well for Newcastle as he has for Portsmouth on his first year. But Kisnobo was another one with us since our second year, and he could play anywhere across the back. But he is now a starter for Newcastle. We've got anybody else we want to pick up? No, nobody for the moment. We've gone through pretty much everyone. Elano, we had him on loan for a season. He's now playing at Everton, 28 years old. We've got Kesman, Steidl. I think that's going to be pretty much it, because everybody else is fairly recent. Of course, we had Ronaldinho for a season. He didn't live up to the hype, I got to be honest. He wasn't as good as I thought he was going to be. And then Altier Gomez, our Brazilian wonder kid. And that's pretty much it. I think that's the latest season. So I think what we'll do is we'll end this particular episode. We're going through 25 minutes now. So that is the wrap-up of where our players have been and where we've been throughout the years. So looking at this team, our next episode, we are going to go 10 years in the future. So we're going to see if Portsmouth can maintain this level of success. I mean, if you look at this squad, this team could win trophies for years and years and years if they can keep the youngsters. If we sort it by age, and we've got Fontaine, hopefully they get rid of Turnier because he's a bad egg. We've only had him 6 months and I want to get rid of him. Marcelo, Altier Gomez, our Brazilian wonder kid, Higuain, Pego, Hamšík, Messi, Begovic, Suarez, all under 23 or 23 and under. And then your players in their prime like Diego, Senderos, Huth, De Groot, Bahia, Lahm, Van der Vaart, Kevin Nolan, Petr Cech, Matty Taylor, Di Michelis, Scott Parker, all under 30, all in their prime. Kesman's 31, so I think they might have to look to move him on and replace him before he sort of breaks down. But this team could win things, and even if we look at the under-23s, we've got a lot of 5-star players in our under-23s. Carrasco, Montiel, Stu, we signed from Bayern. We've got 2 homegrown players in Leach and Rolf who could make the step up next season. I'd bring them both up next year to be backup players for the first team, just to get that homegrown contingent up. Cesar, they've got, Manuel Neuer we've got coming up through on loan. Romario Hill, an English youngster, could be a 4.5-star player. We've got a lot of youngsters in this side, so it's not as if we even need to go out to the transfer market and get players in. We could have this squad for a couple of seasons, and I think we could still win all of the trophies. So that is the squad, and that is the save wrap-up, really. So if my friends, there's only one thing left to do, and that is to resign as manager of Portsmouth. Project Pompey has been completed. We'll read out the news article together. Portsmouth manager Duper Swan has resigned from his position after many years in the job. We're 3-time winner of the English Premier Division Manager of the Year. Lifting 2 league titles, 3 cup competitions. And what a success that has been for us. It'd be interesting to see who takes over from us, though. Mancini, Sven-Goran Eriksson, and Alex McLeish are the favourites for the Portsmouth job. So I think what we'll do is I will leave it there for this episode. We've had a good reflection on the save. So I think what we'll do next time is we will go 10 years in the future and we'll see what happened to Portsmouth. Are they going to turn into a dynasty? Are they going to be the best team in the world with lots of Champions League wins, Premier League wins? Who's going to take over? Are they going to keep the squad together? Or are they going to gut it all out and ruin the hard work that we have brought up? Tune in next time to find out. But leave a like if you enjoyed, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more Football Manager 2019 content. We upload Project Pompey. We've probably only got a couple of episodes left every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 6 p.m. GMT. And tune in next time, 10 years in the future. Who's going to be in the Portsmouth squad? Who's going to stick around? And what's going to happen to the squad that won the Champions League? Thank you very much for watching.